Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and with this update came the ability to reforge CTPs of Rage and CTPs of Refinement, the Egg. And today we're going to be focusing on the CTP of Rage, because this is one of the most popular CTPs in the game, if not the most popular, and it's basically the best CTP in the game for specific game modes, ABX, ABL, and GBR Dormammu. So needing it reforged was very high on the priority list for players, and we were basically all just foaming at the mouth for the day that the Rage CTB would be reforgeable, because it's been literally over a year since you could reforge Energy, Judgment, and all the rest. And so Rage was literally left until the end. However, things have gone to basically the most horrible start that you could have imagined, the worst possible introduction of these CTPs to date, right? And that's considering all other reforged CTP introductions. So what is going on? Well, essentially you can summarize it through this notice. Okay, so they released this notice today. I wanted to make this video as soon as possible to address it and to do my own testing live in this video so that players could see, so that the devs could see. And so they said here, after the update, there is some information regarding the CTP of Rage reforge effects. Now, if you don't know, what the Rage CTP does when you reforge it is, as you can see there in yellow, it gives you the Enraged ability, and the Enraged ability will increase your character's crit damage by a certain percentage, and it will ignore the max limit, which means the normal max limit of crit damage is 200%. It will just push it up to whatever the new number is. So in this case, if you take a look at my Thor, if he had, and he will have, that Mighty Rage in a minute here, his crit damage, which is 200%, and it's yellow and it's capped, it will actually, when the Enrage ability triggers, it will push his crit damage up to 380%. So this is almost double the amount of crit damage that he will do on critical hits. And crit damage is a lot of damage, right? You're talking about numbers in the millions, so doubling that should be quite visibly, noticeable. It should do quite a lot more damage. However, what players are reporting, whales I might add, who are spending hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of dollars to obtain tons of these CTPs, they're reporting no effect at all. And if you want to see just how dedicated some of these players are to keeping the lights on at Marvel Future Fight, you go over to the list of top players and you go check out the #1 player in Odyssey, and you investigate his account, and you investigate how many brilliant, not mighty, ladies and gentlemen, how many brilliant CTPs of Rage this guy has. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's absolutely insane. 6. I just counted 6 brilliant CTPs. At minimum, if he got as lucky as possible, he sacrificed, right? It's 6 CTPs you have to sacrifice times 6. That's 36 CTPs. And you're telling me that the effects are not noticeable? That this player is not noticing an increase in their damage? And they paid 36 CTPs worth? And guys, that's the minimum. There's no way it was 36. It's a 20% chance. So on average, you'd multiply that by 5. So he spent, over 150 CTPs on average, and it could have been much worse. So you're talking about 150 plus CTPs sacrificed to get an advantage, and there's no effect? Now I know what you're going to say. Oh, it's not fair. The whales want to have everything. They want to just buy all their power in the game. Good. I'm glad the Rage CTP doesn't work. Hang on a minute. If this doesn't work, what else doesn't work? What about Hulk's tier 4 skill? Why doesn't that work? What about Namor? We have to hold the devs accountable whether or not it benefits us. So that's a really important thing that I want to point out here. And to be honest, I don't see many people making that statement and making that argument that, oh, I'm glad it doesn't work because screw the whales. I really don't see many players making that statement. I just wanted to cover that right away. Now, here's what the devs had to say. We would like to inform the players that we have investigated the doubts regarding the CTP of Rage reforge effects, but we have not found a significant issue. What that means is they tested the reforged Rage CTPs and they could notice a difference. How did they do their testing? Where did they do their testing? I don't know. But, okay, let's move on. What else did they say? The Marvel Future Fight team is aiming for our agents to enjoy various gameplays with various CTPs. Okay. So what does that mean? What they're basically trying to say is they don't want everyone to just use one CTP for all content. Okay, sure. So we need a bit more information. Accordingly, we are putting a weight on the balance between all CTPs and have gone through careful discussions when adding the CTP of Rage as well. So that supports the previous sentence. They're essentially saying, listen, guys, the CTP of, this is what I understand anyways, the CTP of Rage is really strong already. It's already the best CTP for GBR and ABX and ABL, and it's even better than Reforged CTPs for those game modes. And it's also better for certain characters who just don't utilize the proc effect effectively, like Shang-Chi or Doctor Strange, unless you're a madman like Altwo and you just practice all day. So the Rage CTP was already kind of OP. We didn't want to introduce a Reforged Rage and just widen the gap even more. However, that's not the player's fault. That's the devs' fault. The devs, they made the CTPs. It's their job to balance them. They're saying they put a weight on the balance. Okay, so here's what you need to do. It's very simple. You need to improve the Reforged Rage effects so that they actually matter, so that when players test a Rage and a Reforged Rage, they can feel the difference to justify the cost. And then you need to buff the value and the effect of all of the other CTPs so that it's balanced against the Rage. But the devs don't want to do that, right? They don't want to buff Energy and Judgment and all these other CTPs because that would take a lot of work, a lot of testing, and it would benefit the players without actually costing the players anything. So I think they're sort of between a rock and a hard place, and they have to do what I'm saying, but they don't really want to just yet. However, after more discussions on how to make the gameplay more enjoyable, we have decided to improve the CTP of Rage Reforge effects. So they've actually already buffed the Rage CTP reforging. So before, when it was introduced literally yesterday, it was 80% increase on the Mighty, and it was 130% on the Brilliant. Now it's 200% on the Mighty and 300% on the Brilliant. These are massive increases. They also increased the amount that they increased by 1 second, how long the buff lasts. That's huge. 1 extra second is huge. And they also increased the amount of basic damage that it increases your basic damage from 1.1 to 1.2, and they also increased the ignore bosses damage decrease. However, I have bad news. Despite there not being a lot of testing between when they did this and now, it's only been a few hours, literally, players are still reporting. Not a lot of players, because again, it's only been a couple of hours, but players are still reporting that they cannot tell the difference between Reforged CTPs of Rage and regular CTPs of Rage. That's not good. That's very bad. And again, this is a punishment for the players who are supporting the game the most, right? The two players, anyways, you don't want to punish any players, but it just sort of stings extra because the people who are being punished spent lots of money. Okay, so all of your Reforged CTPs of Rage have been updated. So as you can see there, mine is reflecting the new percentage. It's a 180 on a Mighty. I didn't roll the maximum, which is 200, which you can see here on the max stats. But regardless, I'm going to test it now live in this video to see if I can notice a difference. We're going to be using Thor. He's one of my favorite characters, and he's one of the characters that I'm most intimately familiar with. You know, I know so much about him, and I know exactly how much damage my Thor can do. I may not do the rotation that you think I'm going to do necessarily. That's not what's at question here, because I'm going to be doing the identical rotation for both CTPs. We're going to be testing him in GBR Dormammu solo, and then in Gore stage 39. Here we go. Okay, here we go. First off with the regular CTP of Rage. I think this is going to take me about a minute and a half, but I could be wrong. I don't do solo tests that often. It takes me about 2 minutes and change to solo this by myself. It's actually not possible for you to tell. Actually, you can tell that this is normal Rage because I don't have the bar under my HP bar to sort of charge up the Rage effect. So we're popping off the tier 3 here after the 5. We one-shot. Awesome. Okay, there we go. It's okay that we one-shot in this phase because we're gonna, it'll be more difficult in the next phase. You never want to test very low content when you do these sorts of tests. You want to test it on high-end content because low-end content, you're just going to plow through it too fast to notice much of a difference. Here we go, popping off the tier 3. But the second phase of Dormammu proves and provides enough of a test to ensure that we'll be able to see and we'll be able to tell the difference here. Let's move out of the way. Now this is going to be a little sketchy. We're just going to rip this. Okay, we got interrupted halfway through. That's okay. I think we got most of the tier 3 damage off. We could have maybe gotten a little bit more, but this is still a good run. We're only a minute and 20 in. I know some people like delay canceling 5 for Thor to get the extra attack. I'm not a big fan of it. Anyways, it doesn't matter how I play as long as it's consistent between runs. So that's what I'm focusing on here. And our rage procs have also been consistently activating, which is also really good. So we're getting right to the end here. 2 bars. Okay, so there we go. 8-10. Stage 39 of Gore here. I'm very familiar with this run. I've been doing this for, I don't know, months now since it was released. So we should see a very consistent run. The only inconsistency possible is on like whether we can kill him before he does the minion phase. But we're not gonna show a run where that happens, so it doesn't matter. We did take some damage there. That's okay. Taking damage is not part of the Reforged Rage testing. Okay. Pop off here. Yeah, not a problem at all. Okay, so this is a good run. Again, this is, you know, what I expect from Thor. Not a bad run by any means. I'm not trying to sell or sort of side with one CTP or another. We're just trying to do as accurate of a test as possible to see. Like, I really just want to make sure, like, is the Reforged Rage, is it working or not, and is it noticeable or not? And if it's, the thing is, this is the other thing here, if it's not noticeable in this content, then the devs really need to address this in a way that that is going to make sense to the players, you know? Like, we need to know, as players, we need to know. So there we go, 335. That's quite good. It can be like a couple of seconds faster, but anyways, 335. The players need to know, is this the content you guys intended this CTP for? That was the other thing that struck me as a possibility when I was reading that patch, that notice that I was talking about. You know, if the devs are balancing this around something that we don't know yet, like, you know, Chapter 13 Dispatch or whatever, I don't know. But if they're balancing this on stuff that we don't have yet, then we don't know, right? And of course, what are we going to do as players? We're just going to test based on what we have. So if based on what we have, we're not seeing any benefit, then what is the point, right? What is the point? So I'm going to unequip the CTP here now, and we're going to equip the Mighty Rage. And again, we should see a noticeable difference, right? It shouldn't be like a minute faster. It's not like it's going to break the game. It shouldn't be game-breakingly good, but we should notice a difference to justify. Now, for those of you wondering what the difference is worth, it's worth a CTP of Rage, right? Because at minimum, if there's no chance up event for reforging, you can take 2 rages with a 100% chance to succeed, and you can just smash them together to make a mighty. That's not discussing brilliance. I don't have a brilliant rage, so I can't test that. I may not get one until Black Friday, or not at all if, again, their value is not that good. But yeah, that's what it's worth. It's worth another CTP of Rage. So now let's go back and test and see if it's worth it. All right, here we go with the Reforged Rage. I did a bit of practice. From what I can understand, the Reforged Rage does not charge up when you're moving, but rather when you're doing damage and attacking. So we're just going to do our regular rotation the way that we did before, and see what the damage looks like, and see how it sort of performs here. I'm gonna rip the tier 3 here. This should one-shot. Okay, we get the one-shot. Nice. All right. We also got the one-shot without the flames coming out from Dormammu, which is helpful. Okay. We didn't get our Rage proc to activate at all, which is unfortunate. There is the enrage proc. Okay, so it's quite off right now in terms of like the timing of that and our regular stuff. But here we'll try to get everything on at the same time. Okay, that was just my regular proc, not the enrage proc. Okay, that's really annoying. And that's, yeah, that's okay. It's all over the place. This can definitely be frustrating for players, for sure. I can definitely see how players would be frustrated by this, at least as far as the effects, because it's a completely different mechanic than the other CTPs where you move around, right? You don't move around to charge this one. So you sort of have to set it up. Like when you set it up, right, and it lands, it's quite nice, but it can get out of sync quite quickly. Yeah, okay. This is all of them proccing at the same time. I thought I was going to use the second skill to dodge attacks, but this seems like it's going to be either the same amount or actually potentially slower. So 810 was how we reached it last time, and yeah, it's basically the same. It's the same. All right, let's see how this feels against Gore. I barely noticed the difference versus Dormammu, which is unfortunate, but let's see if we notice a difference versus Gore. Now, it doesn't trigger at all here. Okay, so I really think what they need to do, at least from my initial testing, is they just need to fix the way that this procs. Because it's proccing when my rage isn't ready, right? It's sort of like it activates after my rage is done, so it's not really increasing much. I think they need to go back to the drawing board with this one, you know? I mean, it's possible that this is why it took them so long to come up with a Reforged rage, right? Because they just couldn't figure out how to make this thing work. I don't envy the difficulty of that, but I don't really care either, because this is your job. We're literally talking about the dev's job. Your job is to balance these things. If you cannot balance these things, then you are not performing your job duty adequately, and you need to like, you know, fix it or be replaced. It's that simple. Like this is not a player problem. Right? This is not something that the players are doing mechanically. And you know what? If it is, if the players are doing something mechanically, then why don't the devs tell us? Right? Tell us. Okay, hilariously, Thor is on death's door here. It's the same time. It's literally the same. How do you notice? How do you notice a difference? It's literally the same. Why would anyone in their right mind see this and want to reforge a CTP of Rage? I'm disappointed. I was honestly hoping that the player reports were overblown, or perhaps that the buff that they just gave the CTP was enough, because let's be honest, 180 to 200 is pretty crazy, right? They more than doubled it. And I don't know. I thought that if Thor had 400% crit damage, he would do more damage. Like, silly me. I come from an RPG background. In RPG games, when you have more crit damage and you're always critting, you do more damage. Huh, what a novel idea. So I don't really know what the devs have to do to fix it, because I'm not a dev, but they have to fix this. This is completely unacceptable. The conclusion is this is worth nothing. This is the same value as this. And presumably it's the same for the Brilliant. And so I caution you, everyone watching, do not reforge your rages. You're wasting CTPs for nothing. You're trading in 2 things of value for 1. You're trading 2 iPhone 14s and you're getting 1 iPhone 14 back. And you're like, wow, it's better. No, it's not. It's the same. No, it's not. It's the same. And again, to play devil's advocate and to take the side of the devs for a second, if they're balancing this on future content, they need to let us know somehow, or they need to take this back and don't give it to us until the new content is out. But I don't think that's the case. So I think the reality is they need to buckle down, do their job, and they need to rebalance all of the other CTPs and make them stronger. And then they need to also rebalance the rage so that it actually feels better when it's mighty or brilliant. because otherwise this logic, there's no logic. It makes no sense. The logic doesn't follow. Mighty energy is stronger than regular energy. Brilliant energy is stronger than mighty energy. Wow, there's a pattern. Mighty destruction is stronger than regular destruction, and brilliant destruction is stronger than mighty destruction. Wow, there's a pattern. Alex, are you telling me that the mighty CTP of regeneration is stronger than the regular regeneration? Furthermore, are you implying that the brilliant regeneration is stronger than the mighty? Huh. Wow, what a crazy pattern you guys have built up for the past year and a half. Now, what about the rage? Is the mighty rage better than regular rage? No. What about the brilliant rage? Is it better than the mighty? No, not really. That's stupid. It's stupid as hell. So yeah, I really hope they fix this. And I do not want to imagine what happens if they don't. It's going to be ugly. It's already ugly on the forums with buff Hulk and buff Namor and buff Black Bolt. But this is just like, this is just oil on the fire. So yeah. PSA to everybody, don't reforge your rages. And yeah, hopefully the devs fix this now. Thanks so much for watching. Smash the like button, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.